It's just not enough if you are actually going to make it difficult for Brighton to play out, because they are so brave with the way that they play out that you've got to go with 4-5 players.
And there was me thinking, what was your nan saying, by Jove too? Answers on a postcard. Here is Fornals, right side, trying to get forward and nudge it into Souček. Oh, heavy with the return pass, goes straight out of play for a throw-in. Over on the far side, it remains 0-0. This is Talk Sport. West Ham's first half of the season has been so good. They're 18 points better off than last season. They're only 7 points off the top 4 going into today's game. And they have been making this place a little bit more difficult to visit for opponents. They've won their last 3 home games before tonight. They've only lost 1 of their last 7 here. Here's Buonanotte, though, coming forward. João Pedro to the edge of the box. And it's half cleared by Alvarez and then touched forward by... Oh, Souček has been dispossessed, but I think so illegally. Sam Barrett giving the free kick as he tried to escape, and it remains 0-0.
And again, the build-up is pretty decent from Brighton. That last bit of quality hasn't been there really from Brighton, from what we've come to expect from the quality that they can possess and the way they can zip the passes around. I even think about Estepinian, who's back in the side. He's not really venturing forwards like we would expect him to. And if you're Ferguson, you're probably sat there thinking, well, how am I not getting in this team at the moment?
I think it's Billy McKinley and Kevin Nolan who had a conversation just moments ago on the touchline, and then Kevin Nolan's gone out and had a word with John Brooks, the 4th official. He's not happy about something, but it's Brighton who are coming forward on this right-hand side now, and it's with Jack Hinshelwood, who's high up on this right side. Billy Gilmour wanted it played back to him centrally. Too many touches, which meant that route was closed, so they go back out the other side. Estepinian into Gilmour. Gilmour infield to Webster. Webster back to Estepinian. They're in the midpoint of the West Ham half, and it is slow, it is controlled, and it is without penetration for Brighton at this moment in time. But if they click into gear, they can test you. Hinshelwood, right angle of the penalty area, and Ben Rama was backing off, left by Hinshelwood for Gross, and now they've retreated to the halfway line. Sounds like 2 steps forward and then 3 steps back. Gross round the corner onto Hinshelwood, tucked back round into the path of the German. He started the move with a really good touch, but they've gone back the other side. They've kept the ball moving here, Brighton. This is what they need to do to stretch West Ham. Buonanotte trying to find a way back into an advanced position, and as Milner then sort of almost got a little bit frustrated and fizzed the ball into the box just to see what would happen, and it popped up in front of Areola and cleared.
Yeah, not enough players that are on the same wavelength and have got enough quality. Pascal Gross there, brilliant, 2 bits of play, outstanding, goes out wide. James Milner nice and sharp. Front 2 have been poor. Pedro.
Here is Bowen trying to move up towards the edge of the area, racing with the ball, tries to feed it towards Ben Rama. It hits the chest of Hinshelwood and he guides it back to his goalkeeper.
Yeah, João Pedro and Danny Welbeck have offered very little really in terms of a genuine threat to the West Ham goal.
Both of them do like to drop off and try and pick up the ball from deep though, don't they, and turn and run. And that's been a little bit of an issue, and probably you need someone to try and stretch in behind.
Yeah, I just think Danny Welbeck, I think probably with a few injuries that he keeps picking up, probably maybe doesn't trust his body to do that as much anymore, that genuine running in behind. So I always thought that was one of his big strengths, actually, was testing centre-backs with his clever movement and his pace down the sides. He doesn't do it as much anymore.
Last goal was that header against Palace, and he had a couple of good chances. He was denied by Vicario on Thursday. Here's Hinshelwood down the right hand side, plays the ball into the area, hits the arm of Emerson. Sam Barrett doesn't give the penalty, saying that his arms were outstretched because he was sliding on the floor, but it did look like a handball. And Lewis Dunk actually has had a penalty given against him for a similar sort of situation earlier in the season, and Brighton will be asking why that wasn't applied there. Ball out on the right side, we'll see if it hit the hand on the replay as Johnson goes into the area. It comes to Bowen, who turns, tries to lay it back for James Ward-Prowse. Good defending that by Brighton. They managed to bring it clear for Gross, and now they look to counter-attack again. They work it out towards João Pedro. Buonanotte is running through the middle. Has he got the pace to get away from Emerson? He's into the box now. He runs down the left side of the box. He's got 4 claret shirts for company. They've got back really well to shut him down. Brighton have the ball right on the edge of the penalty area. It's picked up by Gross. Gross now back centrally to Billy Gilmore, and Hinshelwood makes a run again, and he's been quite a threat down that right hand side, actually getting back from the right full-back position. Well, Sam Barrett said no penalty. Tell me what you think.
Well, I agree, because I don't think this should ever be a penalty in terms of a player sliding to try and block a cross. Of course their right arm is going to be on the floor because they're steadying themselves as they slide. It's probably gone in the crux of the armpit of Emerson actually as well, which I think certainly went in the West Ham defender's favour. But you make a great point with Lewis Dunk's conceding of a penalty earlier in the season.
No, it is still 0-0. And Brighton didn't get their penalty, and there wasn't much of a VAR glance at that. Here is Gross out to Hinshelwood again on this right hand side. Still 0-0 on TalkSport, 9 minutes into the second half. Gross has it in front of David Moyes, who is still gesticulating and trying to organise his team. And these two have drawn quite a lot of games between them in the Premier League. João Pedro moving up towards the edge of the area, just seemed to open up for him, gets it back, it's behind him, but here's Welbeck with an effort, it's saved down low by Alphonse Areola, comes back to Milner on the left side of the box, and he volleys it over the top of the crossbar. What a chance that was for Danny Welbeck, and that's another good save, and he's made 3 now, Alphonse Areola, to deny Brighton.
Yeah, excellent play this time from João Pedro. That's better on the half turn, driving at the West Ham defence, looking for the 1-2. It missed him out though from Buenanotte and landed at the feet of Welbeck, who tried to curl it in the far corner. It's an excellent save by Areola down to his left hand side, and he's just feeding off that confidence that he's got from the Emirates.
Let's go off to the darts and TalkSport's Ian Dante.
Luke Littler 3-1 up on Rob Cross. We've just had 5 holes to throw, which doesn't sound exciting, but the last leg, Rob Cross was on a 9-darter after having hit 2 maximums, but Luke Littler got down to 41 from 9 darts, took out the 9 and double 16 and snatched the set. That's pressure on Cross. It's a race to 6 sets. It's live on TalkSport 2 right now. The 16-year-old is 3-1 up, Sam.
Wow. 16 years of age, could be going through to the final of the World Darts Championship. What were you doing at 16?
Making my debut in the Championship.
I'll set them up, you smash them home.
I certainly wasn't in a world final darts though. That's ridiculous.
It is a little bit ridiculous. When in the year of Luke Littler's birth, I celebrated my 30th birthday. Ball sent round the corner into Gross, who flicks it on. João Pedro tries to squeeze in between a tight gap, and he thinks he was fouled on the edge of the tee. The referee says no, he's having none of it, and Bowen is bringing it clear. Up and around the corner, Van Hecker wins it, and now they've committed an extra man forward here, Brighton, as they pinch the ball on the halfway line from Bowen. Buonanotte then has it pinched back by Bowen. Excellent work by him after giving it away initially.
Again though, João Pedro, it was good first initial play, but then he's desperately trying to gain a free kick when it never was going to be. But Brighton have just stepped it up, haven't they, last 5 minutes?
Yeah, they've just looked a little bit more purposeful in this second half, Brighton, than West Ham, and they've forced Areola into a save already. They are hoping for a run of positive results now after a good half of the season. And they've got defending to do here, and Emerson is in behind down the left hand side, drilling across to the edge of the box. It misses James Ward-Prowse, goes past Ben Johnson, and then is recycled again by the West Ham attack. Fornals with the delivery in towards the near post, looking for Bowen. It's headed away by Webster, and then Purvis Estupiñán will clear. And there is room for improvement for Brighton, no doubt about it. They'll still have their eyes on the European places. They want to smash that glass ceiling. They started tonight 10 points off the top 4. They're only 1 point worse off than last season. They may pick up a point that takes them above Manchester United tonight and take them 7th in the league. And West Ham have other ideas. They want all 3 points from themselves to close the gap to those in the top 5. Currently residing in 6th position in the Premier League, West Ham United. Alvarez out wide for West Ham. Bowen, who's gone out to that right side momentarily. Infield to Johnson, who's run into a brick wall. That brick wall was named Pascal Gross, who's got involved again, but the ball's ricocheted kindly for West Ham and Fornals is dribbling up to the edge of the box, a left-footed daisy cutter, which is easy to save for Jason Steele, and it remains goalless on Talk Sport.
But it's got that feel of a manager doing something, one of the two, just to change things, whether it's a system change, whether it is players off the substitute bench, because it's just, I mean, I would put Jared Bowen on the right hand side, that's for sure, and maybe put Ings or Cornet or Urbana through the middle.
Buonanotte on the turn, trying to feed the ball out to João Pedro. Alvarez has gone out there to try and shut him down, but João Pedro's gone past him, weaved his way into the box, shooting position straight down the throat of the goalkeeper, and it's saved by Areola. It was too straight, but he'd done all the hard work by taking out basically the entirety of the West Ham back line. Fed down the left, he ran laterally across the 18-yard box. Alvarez went, Mavropanos went, then Ogbonna went, then Emerson couldn't close him down, and he smashed the ball goalwards, but it was straight into the hands of Areola.
Oh, the run was brilliant from João Pedro. He's got that kind of long stride, but then the lovely little touches in between, faking to shoot time and time again, and then the time when you just needed that composure, he passed it straight into the hands of Areola, rather than just, you know, side-footing that firmly into one of the corners.
60 minutes on the clock, West Ham 0, Brighton 0. TalkSport with Now. Don't forget, with Now you can stream all the Sky Sports action like West Ham versus Brighton live right now for $11.99. No contract search, Now Sports. Here is Pascal Gross, who was finally called up to the Germany squad in 2023. And Roberto De Zerbi was praising his versatility in the last couple of weeks. He actually used Pascal Gross as an example when talking about the versatility of Jack Hinshelwood. He actually said that Jack Hinshelwood was Pascal's son, because they're so alike and that they'll do any job for you. Ball picked up by Fornals for West Ham as the ball's turned over. Bit of space for Emerson to run into. James Ward-Prowse finds him. Out wide it goes to Ben Rama, who looks to trick his way past Hinshelwood, who gets tight to him, stops him from going both ways, and then he goes back on the inside with a cross into the box, which is away by Webster and further cleared by Hinshelwood, chested down by Buonanotte and eventually smashed out of the area by Webster. 0-0. Ball comes down for Buonanotte to try and nudge it forward, but it'll be a West Ham ball as they look to turn it over. Back it goes down the left for Ben Rama, the Algerian, who didn't make the AFCON squad, into Emerson, who lifts the ball into the area, takes a deflection. Ben Rama only making his 5th Premier League start today. Into the area, comes towards the far post, and it's wide somehow from 4 yards out by Thomas Souček. I don't know how it hasn't gone in. I don't think Thomas Souček doesn't know how it's gone in. How did it evade the post from that sort of range? They got lucky with the first initial ball from Emerson, which bounced for Ben Rama. His ball took a deflection as he crossed it off the back of Billy Gilmore into the path of Souček, who prodded it goalwards, and it went about 2 yards wide.
Yeah, it's just a bad miss, isn't it, from Souček? There's nothing he can blame. It wasn't a difficult height. It just needed to be side-footed past Steele. One thing I would say is the goalkeeper does well in terms of how quickly he just springs out of his position into the face of Souček just to try and put him off.
It wasn't a particularly well-crafted goal. There was a couple of bumps on the way through to set it up for Souček, but when you're 4 yards out and the goal is there, hitting the target is the aim. Bowen trying to run in behind down the right-hand side, keeps it in, but it's blocked by Van Hecker, who did superbly to match him stride for stride. And Jared Bowen will never give anything up. We saw that on Thursday night when many thought the ball was out of play, but he just kept going, and he wouldn't give that one up either. It looked to be running away from him, but he kept going and going and going, and by the time he got to the ball, he tried to cross it. It was blocked by Van Hecker, and it goes behind and away for a corner over on the far side.
Dare I say, that was probably out as well. Van Hecker was sliding in. Very difficult for the assistant on that side to see.
Corner kick to be taken by James Ward-Prowse. Always a danger from this zone. 63 on the clock. Souček bursts away to the far post, but Steele comes and grabs. Good goalkeeping, commanding goalkeeping from Jason Steele.
Such a nice thing for a defender to see, isn't it? A goalkeeper come out and properly claim when you've got a delivery such as James Ward-Prowse. Did well there, Steele.
Gilmore. Back to Estepinian, into Gross. Second half of this game has been a little bit livelier than the first. Both have had chances. João Pedro's effort was the best of Brighton's opportunities. Danny Welbeck had an effort saved by Alphonse Areola. And Souček certainly having the best of the West Ham chances. But goalless it is. Teams that started the day in 6th and 8th in the Premier League. Here's João Pedro coming forward for Brighton, over on the far left as they look at it. Gilmour gets it centrally, diagonal ball to the back post. Hinshelwood, Gross trying to take it down, sends it into the middle of the box. It misses Milner and Welbeck and is helped out by Mavropanos. Picked up by João Pedro, far side, the Brighton left, into Milner inside the area, couldn't control it. James Ward-Prowse, emergency action, funnels in, volleys the ball away, and it's out for a throw in far side.
Yeah, did well there in numbers, West Ham in the area. A little knockdown from Gross, lovely little flick over the top of Alvarez, and then tried to smash it across, waiting for one of his strikers to act like a striker, and they just stood and watched.
Trying to get into the Dean Ashton striker support group. It's a good feature.
Doors are always open.
Good feature we launched on Saturday on the game day programme, which I immediately copyrighted and said we'll take that into the Sunday session later on in the season. Here is Gilmour out to Webster. Webster down the right side, bit of space for Hinshelwood. Can he bend it into the box? Good block by Ben Rama, but Hinshelwood's pinched it again. Into the area he goes, and then he was surrounded again by so many claret and blue jerseys. It has been very good, Jack Hinshelwood, on this near side, the right. It's caused all sorts of problems for Ben Rama, and he has been a constant threat in that position. Gross, infield, into Webster. Needs to use the ball properly here. Goes backwards to Gilmour. Estepinian, midpoint of the West Ham half. Now Welbeck, a little bit of extra pressure here from Brighton. João Pedro tries to trick his way into the box, goes up against Johnson, then flicks the ball to the far post. Hinshelwood is coming in from the far side, so is Gross. Hinshelwood took it, and Gross is not happy. I think he was calling for that ball to go over his head.
Yeah, possibly. Young lad has got up high, tried to win the header. He's actually knocked it back reasonably well, and again, if there was another player anticipating that, they've got a little tap-in header at the back post, but it was João Pedro with the cross, and Welbeck stood on the edge of the box watching again.
Just wonder when you're 4 yards out, though, it's probably best to go for goal, isn't it, rather than head it back across the face. Here is Bowen into the box, trying to squeeze through a tight gap, which Van Hecker is going to close here. Dawes and kicks it out of play. We're going to see Evan Ferguson now. He's going to come on in place of Danny Welbeck. Might be some defending to do before they make that change.
Another big long throw from Mavropanos.
It's been a long time since Evan Ferguson scored. Well, here he is. He's on, and Danny Welbeck is off. And the 19-year-old Irishman, 7 without a goal, just had a little bit of a dip. He's being called upon to try and add a goal threat for the final 23.5 minutes of this game.
Not easy though to come on and have to try and make an impact, of course, but I think he should be starting more games personally.
Ferguson trots into the area. His first act is going to be a defensive one to try and repel this long slingshot from the far side from Mavropanos. Long it goes in towards the near post. Ogbonna couldn't get there. Gross did manage to nudge it clear. Johnson sends it out to the right hand side, and then it's sent back in by Mavropanos, chested down, and a chance to counter-attack now for Brighton. He's picked up by Gross, right side of his own half, but he's got men forward, and João Pedro is one of those, dropping, turning, looking for an outlet, goes back to Gilmour. They keep it moving well, and now again in opposition territory. Can they make it count? Can they make the breakthrough here, Brighton? Because they've had a lot of the ball in this game, and they dominated the statistics as far as possession are concerned, but yet neither of these two teams have found a breakthrough, even though West Ham have had a couple of opportunities on the counter as well. They haven't gone without chances, none that they've taken. Ferguson into João Pedro, back to Gilmour. Gilmour instructs Gross to get it wide. Hinshelwood could have popped it in first time into Buonanotte, didn't. Decided to go back to Gross, and then it's to Milner, and it comes back to João Pedro inside the area. His shot repels to the edge of the box. Billy Gilmour then tries to hit it. He didn't really get anything on that, Billy Gilmour. Very much looked like a player who's never scored a club goal. turfed it into the ground. João Pedro over on the far side as they keep on the pressure. West Ham defending well at this moment in time. Gilmour sweeps it into Buonanotte. Ferguson does well, turns, shoots, it's only narrowly wide. He flicked that up, got it round the defender, and then shot with his left foot to the far post, and it wasn't too far away from Areola's left hand upright.
Oh, well, considering he's just been sat there with a jogging bottoms and a coat on, and he's just walked on, lovely little flick over the top from Ferguson, away from Alvarez, from his right foot onto his left, half volley, stinging along the floor, just about a metre to the left-hand post of Areola, but that was really, really clever play from Ferguson.
See, that's got to feel nice, isn't it, when you turn around and say someone should be starting and making an impact more often, and then he does that seconds after coming on.
I mean, if it had scored
would have really underscored your point.
That was great, though. It was really instinctive, didn't think about it, just went with it and was thinking about shooting.
Listening to West Ham nil, Brighton nil on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever the mission, home or away, Enterprise helps over 120,000 people every day. Buonanotte stretching it out to Milner, far side in the area, just lifts it back into the box. Gilmour now 10 yards from the edge of the area. Into Purvis Estupiñán, who wraps the ball into João Pedro. Had no chance of controlling that, and West Ham are able to bring it clear. They can't get it anywhere up towards the halfway line because Brighton are defending so well, and West Ham just falling a little bit deeper and deeper towards their own goal. 20 minutes to go. West Ham United 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 0, live on TalkSport in the Premier League. Remember, tomorrow the World Darts Final is live on TalkSport. Thursday night, Crystal Palace against Everton from the FA Cup, the first of 9 FA Cup commentaries this weekend, including Friday night Tottenham against Burnley. There's another one on TalkSport 2 from Brentford that night as well, and then Saturday lunchtime Sunderland against Newcastle. What a huge game that is for Eddie Howe. Ball into the box, and Gross is trying to stretch to get that diagonal ball which was sent in by Milner towards the edge of the 6-yard box. He couldn't quite get on the end of it, and it was gobbled up by Areola. 0-0.
Yeah, David Moyes, curly finger out towards Mubama, making a change. He has to, and with that change you would expect it to be Jarrod Bowen going out to the right hand side.
Benrahma picks it up halfway. Divine Mubama, only Premier League appearances this season have been as a sub. He was part of that 2023 Youth Cup winning team. Here is Emerson, left side. Back to James Ward-Prowse, room to get the cross in towards the far post. Ben Johnson back across the face of goal. It's too close to Jason Still. No one quite could get there. Let's go off to the darts. TalkSport's Ian Dante.
It is now Luke Littler 3, Rob Cross 2. The 2018 champion pulls a set back. Littler had a set dart in the deciding leg on double top, but missed it. And Cross took exactly the same double to get back within a set of the 16-year-old. It's a race to 6 to get to the final to take on either Luke Humphreys or Scott Williams, who played later. And it's all happening live right now on TalkSport 2.
Buonanotte down the right for Brighton, bounds into the box. He was almost off balance as he eventually got to the edge of the area, and he had the ball pinched off his toes by Benrahma, who's just about to come off and be replaced in the next few moments by Mubama. A free kick has been given on halfway, and Webster's got a bit of an issue here, and he needs some treatment. He doesn't look particularly comfortable. He's only just come back from injury. I mentioned 9 games he missed recently because of a muscular injury, and he's called the physios on to have a quick look at him.
Well, it would be asking a lot, wouldn't it, for certainly 70 plus minutes in the Premier League game to come back and test yourself. Jarrod Bowen constantly running in behind, so it wouldn't surprise me if Webster's struggling slightly, even if it's just fatigue.
Benrahma off, Mubama on, and it means that Pablo Fornals goes out to the left, Bowen goes out to the right, Mubama through the centre. Now, the other week we actually was watching Manchester United and West Ham here, and West Ham made a slight tactical tweak with Bowen going out to the right hand side and Paquetá just dropping into the middle, and that really helped West Ham. Obviously very different personnel tonight, but you do seem to get a little bit extra out of Bowen when he comes in from that right hand side.
Well, also watching the game, it just feels like he's so isolated. Whatever he does do, he has to constantly do it on his own, whereas at least if he's on the right hand side, he can collect that, start to dribble, combine, rather than just chasing an aimless ball over the top.
Looks like they're going to bring on 2 substitutes here, Roberto De Zerbi and Brighton, to deal with this absence of Adam Webster. I don't think he's going to be able to continue, and Jakob Modder is going to come on, and that will be the first change. I wonder whether Jakob Modder is actually going to play as a centre-back. The other change is going to be the arrival of Adam Lallana, who was brilliant when he came on the White and Jordan show last week with Alex and I. Talks a lot like a manager in waiting, Adam Lallana. Leans a lot on De Zerbi. De Zerbi leans a lot on him. So Modder comes into the back line. Hinshelwood's gone across to play centre-half at the moment. That surely can't be the case for much longer. And the other change is Buonanotte off and Adam Lallana on. What do you make of those changes?
Well, I mean, it does look as if Hinshelwood is going into probably more of a back 3 as it looks, with Estepinian either side of Van Hecke and Modder coming on as a right wing back.
Good luck, kid. Ball sent up towards the edge of the penalty area, flicked on by Souček. I mean, you know, he's played very well out on this right hand side, but centre half? He doesn't look like he's built to play centre half. He'd be very much in the sort of Steve Potts mould of centre half.
Yeah, but with Pascal Gross as his dad, he can play anywhere.
Ball back by Estepinian to the goalkeeper, and still sends it to Hinshelwood out on this right hand side, and he starts to bring the ball forward. It remains 0-0 with 15 minutes to go. An injury to Adam Webster has had to reconfigure that back line as a result, Roberto De Zerbi. And it's Gross in possession, back in field to Van Hecke. Van Hecke, the Belgian, just hesitates, waits, plays it to his right. Hinshelwood is there, and then he will come forward. They've only really got one fit centre half now, Van Hecke, and Dunk is suspended tonight. That's a bit of an issue for Roberto De Zerbi going forward for the games that are upcoming.
But they're not really being tested, are they? It's not as if West Ham are really testing Van Hecke and that back line.
Yeah, but they might be when they play Stoke in the FA Cup away at the weekend, or Wolves after that, or Luton away at Kenilworth Road. Other games that are following for Brighton: Palace at home, Tottenham away, Sheffield United away, and Everton at home. They want to get their players back for that. Bowen going down the right, tackled by a good strong tackle that was by Milner. Out on the right hand side, the ball steered into the box, away by Gross once again for Brighton. They're trying to bring it up to João Pedro, brings it in well and then couldn't release it forward, and then it breaks on halfway for Edson Alvarez, helped forward by Emerson, and then the left full-back position, sort of half positioned Estepinian, comes back in, and yeah, it's in towards Estepinian once again. Currently 0-0. The latest odds are available at Ladbrokes, where you can now get West Ham to steal 3 points in the last 15 minutes at 7-2. Brighton 21-10. The draw 23-20 on. That's all thanks to Ladbrokes. 18+. BeGambleAware.org. Here is João Pedro, wide to the left. Milner has got up there to try and support the attack. Into Lallana, his former teammate at Liverpool. Back to Milner once again. Estepinian drives forward onto Lallana. Lovely little ball into João Pedro. João Pedro being surrounded by claret shirts. Into Milner, sends the ball into the box. Gross is up there. He's dropping at the far post, and there's no one to follow it in. And it goes behind and away for a goal kick.
Well, I'll tell you what they did do in that attack, Brighton. They waited for that to go out towards Milner, and then they flooded the West Ham penalty area. 6 Brighton players all attacking that. Pascal Gross, Emerson just about does enough to stop Gross getting a full header on it. Again, it's more of a nod back than a genuine attempt at the goal. But it feels as if anyone is going to score, it's Brighton. West Ham have given very, very little in this second half.
Well, statistics sort of bear that out as well, don't they? In terms of the number of shots on goal, Brighton have had 9 to West Ham's 2 in the second half, 14-6 all told, and 5 of them on target to West Ham's 2, but it's still 0-0. Areola's been the busier of the two goalkeepers, there's no doubt about that. He's had to save from Welbeck, he's had to save from João Pedro. Souček has missed a chance at the other end. And Brighton, who have overperformed on their XG rather regularly, still yet to score. Ball to the edge of the box. Lallana trying to turn, work an opportunity. He's faced up by Souček. Down the left he goes. Milner into João Pedro. All very intricate, not much room. Comes back to Hinshelwood. Wide to Modder. Modder into the box. Pulls it back. Lallana didn't quite come for him. He's under pressure from Souček. Tried to pull the trigger from about 18 yards. And he went straight into the arms of Areola.
But I think that was important from Souček. I think he definitely got a touch on that attempt from Lallana as it flicked and hit the chest of the Czech midfielder and into the arms of Areola. Brighton are pressing and flooding the box every time that it's wide.
Well, they want to start 2024 on a high. They certainly love 2023, Brighton. There won't be another year like it. They qualified for and played in Europe for the first time. They recorded their highest league finish. They had a goal shortlisted for the Puskás Award, scored 105 of them, the most in 68 years, and they managed to sell Moises Caicedo to Chelsea for 115 million quid. It was a dream 12 months for them. Here is João Pedro down the left-hand side, bursting towards the edge of the box, cutting in, cutting out, trying to stop it, waiting, beating Alvarez, getting into the area, and then Alvarez again expertly pinching the ball like a seasoned pickpocket. It was absolutely superb.
So good, and he's happy to go into those wide areas to fill in when he needs to. And he took a gamble because, you know, if you dangle a foot, João Pedro could go over, but he timed it perfectly.
Gross charges down the middle of the West Ham half into the right channel, goes back again towards Hinshelwood, and he sees it all the way back to Van Hecke, and then they turn the ball round. We've only got 10 minutes left to go. Is someone going to find a winner in this game? You put your money on Brighton, but West Ham have the propensity to break away at any point and threaten on the counter-attack. Here is Adam Lallana breaking the lines though. Ball into the box, little flick by Ferguson, blocked by Ogbonna and cleared by West Ham. Half cleared by West Ham because Gross is coming back again. Now it's with Hinshelwood. Down the right it goes. Into the path of Gross, and then Ferguson on the turn, pokes it forward, stopped by James Ward-Prowse. Mubama tries to get it clear, gives it straight back to Billy Gilmour. Gilmour down the right side, looking to try and twist and turn and find a crossing position. Has to go backwards again. That tightly knit West Ham blob of claret shirts just sits on the edge of the box and tries to soak up the pressure. It's back with Modder, down the right, Gross in space now, needs to get a good cross in. He does. Ferguson leans back, arcs his header forward, but it was always going wide. Was there a little touch there by Areola before it went over the white line?
Possibly. The Brighton fans behind the goal think so, but it's a really clever run from Ferguson to the near post in front of Ogbonna. Ogbonna just about does enough, sticks out a leg just to block. His trailing calf got in the way of that Cruyff flick from Ferguson.
Well, they have got such a good group of youngsters, Brighton. You often forget that actually what they've also done is supplemented those with some older heads that have no resale value but have a huge amount of experience that help guide some of those players. And certainly Adam Lallana is one of those, and he has made a bit of an impact since coming on. Just one or two little bits that he's created to help them find some pockets of space, and he's on the ball again now, pushing it out towards Milner. Milner tries to nudge it into João Pedro, who's gone on down into the left channel. It's tucked out and away for a throw-in. Still Brighton come, and the pressure is on, and they are forcing themselves upon West Ham United here and causing them to ensure that they're concentrated, patient and ready to repel anything. One slip and Brighton will make you pay. Here is Gilmour. Remember, they've been so good in front of goal so far this season, Brighton. Ball into the box, a lovely ball in towards the near post by Modder, and somehow Gross hasn't connected with it.
Oh, but they're going to, surely. If they keep continuing this way, Brighton, with teasing balls into the box and flooding the penalty area as well. Modder this time with a brilliant ball in behind the West Ham defence. Everybody leaves it. Gross slides in and misses it completely. And Ariola's got the know-how just to let that slide all the way through. And Ben Johnson's just gone down with a bit of cramp. Not played a lot of football this season, that's for sure.
They haven't played a lot of football tonight either. 7 minutes to go before the end of the game. Only third time in 48 Premier League games this will be if Brighton are prevented from scoring. And they've had 17 shots, 6 on target. 14 of those shots have come inside the box. And they have an XG of 1.81, but they haven't managed to breach the stubborn West Ham back line yet. What's the situation at Alexandra Palace? Talk Sports, Ian Danta.
Luke Littler is now 2 sets back in front of Rob Cross. It's 4 sets to 2 in a race to 6 live on Talk Sport 2. He broke the throw in the crucial 4th leg of that 6th set to take out double 10, one of his favourite doubles on the board. They're both averaging over 100 here. It's a high quality encounter, Sam, but Luke Littler has a 2-set advantage. It's 4-2 in a race to 6 live on Talk Sport 2.
When I was 16, I was working a burger joint. James Milner had already played 120 Premier League games by the time that Luke Littler was born in 2007. He might be in the World Darts Final live on TalkSport tomorrow night. Always a cracking event. And Darts on the Radio is brilliant, by the way. Dan and the boys do a super job. Really good. Ball down the left-hand side. Chasing it was João Pedro. And Andy and Darren Bent, drive time, will come from Alexandra Palace tomorrow. Oh, good lead by João Pedro. Milner into the box. Arriving was Gross. It flicks up for Modder over the top of the crossbar from 6 yards out. How on earth have they not penetrated this West Ham back line? Well, it just dropped kindly inside the box after it came from a left wing cross. That was a brilliant lead from João Pedro to allow Milner to get the cross in. He steered it into the box. Gross couldn't quite connect, and then when it came to Modder, it just sat up a little bit, and I think he struck it as it was on the way up, and it went steering into the night sky.
How often do we see this? We even saw it last night with Trent Alexander-Arnold. When that falls and players try to either half volley it with the side foot, half volley it with the side winding volley laces, all you've got to do in that moment is 6 yards out, the goalkeeper's coming out, spreading himself, just use your studs. Just stud it into the floor, past the goalkeeper. See it so often. Use that big part of your boot, the studded part of the boot. Modder just has to stud that down past Ariola, and he gives himself and his team a 1-0 lead. Instead, he goes for the fancy half volley side foot and blazes it over.
Well, he's been out for such a long time. He's only just coming back from a year on the sidelines, Jakob Modder. Never scored a Premier League goal. He maybe has had one of the best chances of the night to do so. Here is Hinshelwood. Back in field to Jean-Paul Van Hecker. And then Estepinian is being pursued by Bowen. There's a late charge from the West Ham fans. And they want to continue their unbeaten run here. They are about to stretch their unbeaten run to 5 Premier League games. And a point enough to take Brighton above Manchester United into 7th, right behind West Ham. Here is James Milner, trying to get more than just a point. Gilmore to Lallana, swishes it out to Modder. Modder stretching, can't keep it in. It goes out and away for a goal kick away to our right-hand side. It doesn't feel like there's going to be a winner, Dean.
No, it doesn't. And West Ham look as if they have wedged themselves in for the night. You know, they've got not anything going. I mean, Bowen's gone over to that right-hand side. I don't think he's touched it since that's happened. Mubama's come on. He's barely touched it other than just giving it away once.
The sleeping bags are out, aren't they? Yeah. They're going to camp on the edge of that box now, just make sure no one gets anywhere. And that'll be that. But if you can't win, don't lose. And West Ham haven't been losing very often. Here is João Pedro trying to get down the left-hand side, just about keeps it in, nudges it back to Milner on halfway. Forward ball by Gilmour is cut out by Edson Alvarez, who is terrific. And then James Ward-Prowse sends it forward, but straight to Estepinian. And Estepinian comes forward, left side, onto Milner. Milner trying to skip away from the Mexican, who just manages to stud the ball out and away for a throw. 88 minutes, 15 seconds on the big clock away to our right-hand side. Late bit of drama, why not? Usually is in the Premier League. Very rare we have 0-0 draws now. Jean-Paul Van Hecker. Remember, they haven't had a 0-0 draw, Brighton, since October 2022 when they drew 0-0 with Nottingham Forest. Gross into Lallana, trying to turn, shoots, brilliant save down low to his right by Areola. Lovely bit of play by Lallana on the edge of the D, received the ball, turned and swiveled in one movement and slapped it towards the goalkeeper's right, and that was superb agility by the West Ham goalkeeper to keep the score level.
Two brilliant bits of play. First of all, from Lallana, you're right, was played into him. He took one touch to flick it to one side, then he Cruyffed it back the other way, then a right-footed strike in towards the corner. Brilliant stretch from Areola with his right hand to make sure, because that was going right in the corner.
West Ham fans getting a little bit upset because their team are giving the ball away too cheaply, and they look a little bit cream-crackered here, West Ham, and they were looking for the whistle, hoping for it. And we've got 30 seconds of normal time to play yet. Here is Gross down the right for Brighton on a late charge. Lallana into Ferguson. Ferguson almost had the ball inadvertently steered towards him. He didn't expect it. It's cleared by Areola, who's getting furious that his team are dropping deeper and deeper. West Ham 0, Brighton 0. Talk Sport into the final few moments of the game. Is there going to be a deciding moment, a decisive moment right at the end? Roberto De Zerbi wants it to come from his team. He's pushing them on. There's going to be 5 added minutes. West Ham will not want to see that. Van Hecker spins the ball into João Pedro. Lallana out to Estepinian, who tries to cut in from that left-hand side. Billy Gilmour being chased by Alvarez, who seems to be doing everything himself. Lallana, edge of the box, trying to get beyond the defender. Fornals sees it back to his goalkeeper, who just hammers it up the field. Van Hecker chasing, he'll see this back to his goalie. And Jason's still under a bit of pressure, almost gave it away to Mbama. Didn't, found a bit of space. And now they've got to get back Mbama and Bowen, the wrong side of the ball. There's space out wide on the left for Milner to run into. We're into the first of 5 added minutes. Milner comes forward. Gilmour's in space, 10 yards back from the edge of the penalty area. João Pedro, sloppy. Mavropanos went and engaged and did brilliantly and spears it out on the far side for a throw.
But again, there's been some really good performances defensively from West Ham. It's not been pretty. Mavropanos there, very, very good. Your man Alvarez has been ridiculous.
He's outstanding, mate. Ball into the box though, looking for Lallana, drops on the edge of the area. It's won by Billy Gilmour and then picked up by Gross and then sent back to Hinshelwood. Still, they come waving forward, Brighton, trying to cause West Ham problems, but their defences are up and they will not be breached. Back to Gross. He's about 15 yards back from the edge of the area. He sends it centrally. Now it's picked up by Gilmour, who's seen so much of the ball. Estepinian, they might need a rocket from him. It's back wide to Milner. Milner back to Gilmour. All happening on the edge of the box. Nothing in the box at the moment. Ferguson drops deep to try and pick it up because he's fed up waiting for it to come his way. He then fouls Ogbonna, and it's with West Ham and a chance to clear. And we're in injury time, so we'll quickly go to Ian Dante.
It's 5-2 to Luke Littler. He's broken the set again with a double 10 break midway through the set. 1 set more and Luke Littler's in the World Championship darts final at Ali Pali. It's live on TalkSport 2.
And he probably could be the world champion for the next 30 years.
I mean, if you haven't seen that meme of a grey-haired Luke Littler saying he's just won it for the 20th year on the bounce.
Here on the left side is Emerson. It's a poor delivery and Brighton have got it, and again Lallana, the referee's got in the way as Lallana tried to spread it to the far side, and Sam Barrett has to give an uncontested drop ball and try to get things moving again. 93 minutes gone. Certainly Brighton the most deserving of the points, I think, should they manage to pierce this West Ham defence. It's been a rearguard action in this second half.
They've looked very fatigued in this second half. West Ham, they've pretty much resigned themselves to just try and defend and stop Brighton and maybe get a bit lucky also with the odd missed chance.
Yeah, well, it's part of the game too, defending. Here is Hinshelwood back to halfway, and then Van Hecker sees it all the way back to his goalkeeper. Come on, you irons, rings around this famous ground, that saw so much during the Olympics of 2012, and now the home of West Ham United, and they are making it at home. This will be 5 unbeaten in the Premier League here at the London Stadium. João Pedro to Modder, in towards the back edge of the box. It's half cleared by James Ward-Prowse, picked up by Fornals, and then on Bonner. Steers it out to Emerson, who just kicks it long and up towards Jared Bowen, who felt he was fouled actually. The referee says no.
He was just shoved in the back by Estepinian, just as he was trying to chest the ball down.
94 minutes on the clock. We're into the final minute that has been added by Sam Barrett, the referee. It's on to Hinshelwood, looking to try and find a way through to prise open this stubborn West Ham back line that has sat in and just said, go on then, have a go. If you can beat us, fine. See if you can get through a gap. See if you can find a gap. And they haven't been able to do so far, and whenever they have managed to get through, Areola has come to their rescue. Here is Hinshelwood. He's still got the ball despite the tackle from Alvarez. Back towards Modder and then on to Gross. So now João Pedro, a little acceleration, steers the ball out towards Hinshelwood. Back to the edge of the box. Gross now in the D, trying to get a shot away. It bobbles into the air. It's hooked half clear. Milner brings it down. Gilmour keeps it alive. 10 seconds of stoppage time to play. Into the box. A flying header by Hinshelwood. Sends it into the air, but it'll be gratefully caught by Areola. And surely now that is it. And there will be no more chances for Brighton, and West Ham will breathe a huge sigh of relief, and they will survive. There it is, the full-time whistle. West Ham's unbeaten home record remains intact. Brighton get the point on the road that takes them above Manchester United. It's not what either came for, but certainly it's what West Ham will settle for at the London Stadium. West Ham never beat Brighton here, and tonight was no different. But they will argue that after losing Paqueta, Kudus, Zuma and Aguerd, missing tonight, it will be a small crumb of comfort for David Moyes against a very good Brighton team that had the best of the chances. Goalkeeper Areola had to prevent some good opportunities in that second half, especially from João Pedro. But it's finished at the London Stadium. West Ham 0, Brighton 0.
Well, the darts has been terrific on TalkSport 2. Fantastic, that's still ongoing. Luke Littler about to seal it maybe, and we will join them when he's right on the brink. It could be this set that he's in right now, but it's live on TalkSport 2 if you want to catch that, if you're still with us. I think West Ham would have been booed off, but most of the West Ham fans had left. I want to say something a bit later about the West Ham fans, because it was very unimpressive tonight, and I think West Ham generally were unimpressive, and I appreciate that there's players out for West Ham. There are players out for Brighton as well, but when West Ham, Dean Ashton, are defending, and in commentary Sam just said West Ham are saying, you come and see if you can score against us, we're going to defend. West Ham are 6th and they're at home, so this is every reason, again I'll say it, this is every reason why some West Ham fans have doubts about David Moyes. They didn't even try to win it second half, did they?
No, they didn't, and I just kept catching you out of the corner of my eye, the amount of times that pen of yours flung against your laptop.
So frustrating.
I know, because they didn't even, especially at the end, there wasn't even an attempt of, actually, yes, we'll soak up some pressure, but we're really going to test you on the counter attack. There wasn't that at all. There wasn't even the attempt for that, which has been a little bit of hope for these West Ham supporters when they have played in this manner, and that wasn't there tonight, and that's almost a contrast, like you say, to where they are in the league. But David Moyes will say, look at the league table, that's where we are. We've just beaten Manchester United and Arsenal. Brighton are a good team in and around us, and we stay in the position that we're in, and it's a good point considering the record against Brighton.
They did put on a good light show though before the game.
The light show was terrific. Terrible for radio, but it was terrific. You're absolutely right. I'm struggling to come to terms with that West Ham performance. A West Ham supporting mate of mine has just messaged me saying, bet you're glad you got to witness that. In some ways I am, because it helps me understand why some West Ham fans have those doubts about David Moyes. And I think at the end of this season, this could be one of those seasons where at the end of this season you will be noted. You will have a little black mark next to you, almost like an asterisk, if you've had a 0-0 draw this season. Now Palace have had two. I think this is the fourth 0-0 draw. I think by now there should roughly, the average should be about 17 to 20 0-0 draws in the Premier League by now. There's been 4 this season because the Premier League has been brilliant this season. This game is a notable exception. It hasn't been brilliant at all. Bournemouth 0, Chelsea 0, Palace 0, Forest 0, Palace 0, Fulham 0, and now West Ham 0, Brighton 0. Brighton will feel a little bit ashamed that they've been involved in a 0-0. The thing with Brighton is, what we've got to remember, they went for it at the end. They had some chances. They tested the goalkeeper. West Ham did not go for it. And there will be a mark by their name at the end of the season. They'll be one of the few that had a 0-0 draw in arguably one of the best Premier League seasons we've ever seen. And I do wonder about the fans. There's two sides of this with the fans. They made very little noise, which I'll get into a little bit later on, but they didn't have a lot to shout about either. So I'm wondering what's going through their heads as they leave this stadium, Dean.
But that style of football doesn't lend itself necessarily to supporters getting involved. You as players, what you do on the pitch generally will lift the crowd that are watching. Not every single person that's here is somebody that stands and sings for the whole game. You know, there are sections, there always are at every football club, but it's down to you as players to do things on the pitch that lift the crowd. Now, the crowd were trying to lift the players towards the end of it, and actually I thought they stayed with the team considering the performance. There was a few groans towards the end once the final whistle was blown. But
are you actually joking me now?
No, but
are you winding me up?
No, but in terms of, they cannot now, because of the trophy, because of where they are in the league, because of the last two results, I don't think they feel like they can have a go at David Moyes at the moment.
Yeah, but it's not so much that there were a few moans and groans. As I said, there was very little booing at the end because most of them had left. But for me, there was nowhere near enough noise in this stadium from the home fans tonight. We'll talk about it in detail a little bit later on, but let's head off to Alexandra Palace. It could be a big climax in the darts. Let's listen in to the commentary with Mark Wilson, Chris Mason and Paul Nicholson.
Joined us here live on TalkSport 2. We're possibly about to witness a moment of sporting history that will never be repeated, possibly because Luke Littler leads the former champion Rob Cross by 5 sets to 2, and he's 2 sets to 1 up in the 8th set. Cross on 306, Littler on 405, and Chris Mason, Littler averaging 105.62 as it's 16 180s. He has been unplayable tonight.
Yeah, there was a spell early on where they were just trading the opening couple of sets, and then Littler just found an extra gear. He's averaging 116 in this set so far. He's taken out a 132. He's at a 171. He's just gone out in 13 darts to lead 2-1. He's down to 182, leading 2-1 in this 8th set. Cross from 210 finds a treble 20. Finds another. Will he stay there? No, he's switched. 174 to leave 36. He's going to make him work all the way to the very end.
Well, credit Rob Cross, he's averaging over 102 himself as Littler hits 140 to leave 42 for the match. Should Cross miss, but Littler will have the throw in the deciding leg of the 8th set if he doesn't get it done here. Rob Cross then for a 13 dart holder throw, and Rob Cross is showing some real guts here. It's 2-2 at the end of the 8th set. You're listening to live darts from the PDC World Darts Championship here. Luke Littler, 16 years of age, in his debut tournament, is 1 leg away from the world final.
Yeah, and Rob Cross sort of had almost an amused look on his face as he would say, he's not surely going to hold it all together and win it here. Single 20 from Cross, both low. Runs for cover, finds the treble 19. 404 Cross, 364 Littler. He's at the oche. He's just over the top. adjusts beautifully into the treble 20 twice.
Well, he averaged 106.12 against Christian Kiss, 105